equipment. They had bulldozers then, but anyway, his son, Bill Proctor, said Mr. Dennis had the whole back of that truck full of big pulleys, and said he could go to where they had a bulldozer stuff, and he'd hang pulleys on every tree around there, and take that little truck and pull it down Bulldoze House.
So he knew how to rig, block, and
He
tackle.
knew how to rig, block, and tackle. And that at that time, I don't think many people understood what he was doing. But
Which you
every time you run through a block, I think it cuts you, gives you double pulling power, so to speak.
which really you taught me about back in the 70s when I was with Farmers Exchange.
But anyway, he just knew that sort of thing. Now, I never saw him working under a hood of a car or something, and I don't believe. And I've seen him with a spray gun spraying cars. I had a motorcycle in later years, and the transmission had a aluminum transmission, and it had a little tube like on it where you pull a screw-in cap to put oil in your transmission. Somehow or other, I don't know, it was I got it hot running or something, and I wanted to check the oil in the transmission, and I put a big wrench on that, and without thinking, I pulled it and just broke that darn aluminum tube in it or whatever. But anyway, I carried it down to Mr. Dennis and showed it to him and said, "Can you fix that?" And he said, "Certainly I can fix that." And I think I left it there one day. Anyway, he smoothed that where the cap broke off. He smoothed it off and got him an elbow from a piece of pipe and run a bolt, drilled a hole in that elbow and through that casing and run a long bolt through there and put a nut on the other side and tightened it down. And when I sold that motorcycle, I still had the thing on.
Which bike was that?
He could fix anything. I always figured he was the best mechanic I ever saw. But anyway, in later years, he had got had big equipment, heavy equipment to do bigger jobs. I think he got some tall equipment with tall booms on them. As a matter of fact, I was working in Chapel Hill, and we had to put some big transformers up on the top of 85-foot poles, and I got him to send a man over there with a truck with a big boom on it, and he had a platform that he put on the bottom of that cable, and he put the lineman and the transformer on that damn thing and pull it up there and he'd hang it on the post. Something that would have took us a half a day, they could do it in 30 minutes and that sort of thing. He just had all the ideas in the world, and I believe that was Miss Dennis's sister, younger sister. Miss Dennis's mother used to come down and help us when we killed hogs. We'd always have 2 or 3 hogs.
Over near Coal Mill Road?
Beg pardon?
Near Coal Mill Road?
Not far from Coal Mill Road. And she'd come down and help us. But she had a daughter, Josephine. She was probably 4 or 5 years older than me, but I thought she was the prettiest girl I ever saw. She had another real pretty daughter. Well, Miss Dennis was a pretty woman. But this girl, I was out at the barn, hadn't been many years ago, and some fellows was out there hauling hay. And they come talk to me. They had heard people mention my name or whatever, I guess, and come talking to me. And the boy's father and two brothers, two brothers, I believe, ran a big store on the Roxborough Road. And he asked me if I had known those boys, and I told him no, but the prettiest woman I ever knew married one of those boys. And he said, what was her name? And I told him, Josephine Pleasant. And he said, that's my mother you're talking about. And I think one of those boys, and I don't know if it was his father or not, I think one of those boys, in later years, his wife died, and I think he married another woman who was a preacher at 100 years of age, maybe a little before 100 years, and they had some kind of journey, some kind of shindig out there when they were 100, something like that. But so they, I think his mother was dead when he's talking to me. I believe she had, and of course that was a long time ago. So as I said, she was a little older than me.
How long ago was that at the barn?
Oh, maybe 6, 8 years ago.
Okay.
Wasn't too long ago.
Did Carl take you out to the barn back then?
No, Carl was dead then.
Yeah.
This lady who stayed here a little while, she carried me out there. She liked horses, and she got talking to him out there. And but anyway, so I had known this boy's brother, and I was telling him I didn't know it was his mother, and he didn't either. but I told him how pretty she was. And he said, that's my mother you're talking about.
What did you know about the house on the river?
On the what?
The house on the river.
On the river?
Uh-huh. With the covered bridge going into it. Where Sam Dennis lived.
Oh, yeah. Excuse me. On the Coal Mill Road, just above, before you get to the river. Mr. Dennis had called me, well, just before I lost my sight. I was 50 years old when I lost my sight. A horse kicked me in the face. But he had a pony, a small pony, a Shetland pony.
So this is 1972 or so. Maybe
Yes.
1973.
Yeah, because it's just before I lost my sight. Because he called me, he didn't know I'd lost my sight, and he called me after I lost my sight. But he wanted me to come and look at his pony down there, and I went down there, and he had foundered so bad. That's when the feet grow out real long, and they hadn't been trimmed for a long time, and his pony had gotten to where it was just staying there by itself, you know. And I guess he just never thought about it. But anyway, and I talked to him. I said he's been foundered, and he's not going to get well. And I said, there's really nothing you can do about it. And he said, well, can you trim them? I said, yeah, I can trim them. And he said, I'm going to try putting some diesel fuel on them. And he explained his reasoning. And I didn't see anything wrong with it. And he did soak them in diesel fuel, and I don't know if it helped or not. So I think I told him that to keep a hoof lubricated, I used thought that the best thing in the world was meat grease, uh, pork grease, pork fat. But anyway, he used that diesel fuel, and he called me later after I had, after I had been blind, and he asked me if I could come out and look at it, and I told him what the thing I could do then. I was couldn't see what I was doing and so forth. And I don't know what happened to the pony, and I don't know if he had it out there for some of his grandchildren or not. It's a pretty nice looking little pony, but and ponies are bad for foundering. And once they founder, they'll get over it, but it'll come back, and it's painful to them. One of my horses, she had a problem with it so bad, I finally had her put to sleep. But I'd forgotten about that. But he had that covered bridge. I think he had crossed the creek, maybe two places. Maybe he had a circle drive or something. I don't remember, but I remember that he had a covered bridge there. And I think the reason for having covered bridges, they got started when horses going across them, you could get messed up. You know, if a horse got out of hand with a buggy or something, especially. I know Mr. Thompson, Gene Thompson, he lived on right close to the Roxborough Road out there, and he talked to his wife and had a little baby, and he liked a horse to pull a buggy or a cart or something. And one Sunday morning, he said he went down to the road and he'd hooked his horse up to a cart, and his wife brought the baby and said she rode down there with him. And when he turned the horse around, the horse jumped in the fence. And the horse was in the fence and the cart was outside.
This is right at Roxborough Road and Monk Road?
Yeah, right on the low side of that, Monk Road. And he had to unhook the horse and take it up to the gate, bring it down there, and then back the cart up by hand, hook the horse back up. He said she never rode with him on his cart anymore. Yeah, I was always very impressed by Mr. Dennis.
When's the first time he pulled you out of the ditch?
No, he didn't come. I pulled out of the road in front of a car, and I thought it was a hot rod anyway, but I was straight on my side of the road. But when I pulled out in front of the guy, it scared him so much, he pulled over in my side of the road and never pulled back, and he hit me. I was up on two wheels, I expect, but it was on my side of the road. He hit me and turned the car over. This is during the war. And several of us in the car, we was going to a square dance, I think. And I said, let's get out and turn this car up before the gas runs out. We had to turned over on the passenger side. And I had to open the door and push it up to get out, and then drag these people out, got them all out. We went around and on the backside and picked that darn car. It was a 37 Ford. Picked it up, it flopped back on the wheel. But anyway, it had kind of did the body enough so that you could open the passenger door on it's a two-door car. And so I think when I went back to camp that night, Sunday night, I left it down there with a little note on there. Asked Mr. Dennis if he could fix it where it could open the door, and he got it fixed where I could open the door. I didn't worry about the little dent up there. But he always, if I went to ask him to do something, he did the best he could, and he was always.
I hadn't heard that story before. The one I was thinking of, I thought you were on a dirt road and you somehow skidded off a road and he had to come pull you out with his truck.
No, I pulled out of a dirt road onto a paved road, making a left turn. And there's a guy coming up the road meeting me, you know. So when I made the left turn, I crossed in front of him.
Uh-huh.
And he saw my lights already coming out like that. And I had got straightened up. But he didn't get back on his side of the road. No, it wasn't I never did turn the thing over except that time. And I didn't turn it over. He knocked it over. He hit the rear wheel, knocked it over. Messed up his car a little bit. But I told him if he when the policeman come out, he said, I can see that you on your side of the road when he hit you. I said, you know, I had knocked the dirt and all that. And he said, I can see you on your side of the road. I said, well, I scared him pulling out, and I know I did. It was called. I said, he'll take it down. It's about a quarter of a mile from Mr. Dennis's shop. I said, if he'll carry it down there, Mr. Dennis will fix it. I'll pay Mr. Dennis and I'll call him and tell him. But I was at fault. I knew it was.
How about the time you went to the PTA meeting over at E.K. Poe?
Oh, Mr. Dennis's, let's see, that would have been his granddaughter, wouldn't it? Yes, that would have been his. No, she was his daughter, wasn't she?
It would have been Linda, most likely.
Who?
Linda. This would have been about 1967, 68.
No, it was in the 70s after I lost my sight.
Oh.
Would have been Bobby.
No, I'm talking about when you went to the PTA meeting
Yeah.
with the teacher, thought that Debbie's mother was, that you were Mr. McGill.
It was sometime in.
Because Cindy was in college in 71.
No.
Cindy
Well, yes,
graduated.
yes,
She
yes,
graduated
was.
Durham
Yes,
High
she was. Yes, she
in
was.
71, which is
Yeah.
when Linda graduated from Durham High.
Yeah. I done got confused again.
Okay.
But that ain't unusual. Let's see. That had to be Bobby. That had to be Bobby Dennis. That was Sam's. Was it Sam's Yeah, I think it was.
Sam's daughter.
I guess it was. Anyway, we was I was talking with her because she, you know, I've been knowing her all of my life, really. But we walked up to the teaching, and I don't know whether she told the teacher her name or whether she gave her name. But anyway, we've been talking and so forth. And when she moved on, and I was behind her, and I moved up, the lady, the teacher that I was talking with, she addressed me as this lady's husband, because we've been talking together. I didn't correct her.
Oh.
Of course, I was right smart older than she was, you know, because she had become a teacher. She was.
But this was at E.K. Poe, right?
Yes.
So Cindy was in 1st through 6th grade there.
Uh, no, she went down here 2 or 3 years.
At Brogdon.
No, no,
Oh.
it's full Brockton. Uh, I can't think of this. Some school down here, closer to town. I can't remember what the name of it was. And then and when she was down there, her mother got involved in the PTA, and her mother was the God, darn it, she was anyway. I just remember what they call it. But anyway, she knew that next year she would be president of the PTA at that school. And so in that summer, they transferred Cindy to change the school lines or something or other. And she had to go to E.K. Poe. I think she was in the 3rd or 4th grade.
Are you talking Club Boulevard?
No.
Okay.
It's named after a street down there.
Club Boulevard.
No.
Okay.
No, it's not. Not
Oh, Watt Street School.
Watt Street School.
Okay.
That's where she went, I think. But anyway, they changed her, and instead of Sue going to the PTA at E.K. Poe, she just quit because she had lost her footing already.
Uh-huh.
So that's when I started going, and I thought somebody ought to be involved. And that's why I was at the school at the time.
Okay.
But anyway, I thought somebody would be involved in that. But anyway, now Mr. Dennis was always, he lived, they had a great big house, and I guess that was one of the girls, was, let's see, Shirley, she married John Cates, the Cates Plumbing Company. But anyway, she lived the nearest house to us on the dirt road we lived on there. She was a pleasant too. So Mr. Dennis's wife's mother lived with him up there in that house, and so he had a family there, so to speak.
So this was right where this was Hillsborough Road,
right where the
near Goins.
It was before. What is that street goes through over there to LaSalle?
Yes, sir.
It was right at the corner of LaSalle, and just below the corner of LaSalle and Hillsborough Road.
So where the Coca-Cola plant, right near that.
Well, let's see, no, the Coca-Cola plant was about halfway between there and West End. And the Coca-Cola plant was on the opposite side of the road from where LaSalle was. Now, I don't know where the Coca-Cola plant is now or whatever.
They moved out on Hillsborough Road at LaSalle back in the early 60s, like 64, 65. Big building.
I believe that's up there right where the golf course used to be.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's further down, closer to Durham than LaSalle Street. Yeah, LaSalle Well, you know, I don't know how this thing is. Of course, I haven't seen a darn thing up there, you know, in 46 years.
Right. Do you remember where Lowe's building,
Yes, it's about where Lowe's building used to be.
meaning the old Lowe's building or
The old Lowe's building. There used to be a shopping area in there
Arlen's?
where I think it was up there all the way to LaSalle Street, I believe, but I'm really not sure about that.
I mean, that's where you go do your military exercise
Right.
at.
Right. They it's across the road from
Across the railroad track from the concrete plant.
yes, best I can remember. Now that was back then. That LaSalle Street was not LaSalle Street. I don't think it even had a name. I knew a fellow who bought several acres of land over there and was raising pigs over there. And over on the other side of the railroad track, from where they played, it used to be a bunch of colored folks over there. They call themselves Croatans. Some of the little kids, little girls, little girls had blonde hair. And I don't know about the heritage and so forth, and didn't care. I used to go over there and play with the kids because they let me do anything. You know, I had a pony, a horse, or something to ride, and they let me. I could be anything. I could point my finger at them and say, "Bang!" They'd drop. You know, I just shot them.
So Sam Dennis's house that you're saying was right in that area.
Yes, right.
Okay.
The best I can remember, it might have been 100, maybe 150 feet west of LaSalle Street, on the south side of Hillsborough Road.
Okay.
Great big house. I never was in the house, but I believe Cindy used to go up there. I'm talking about my sister, not my daughter. That's where I got confused with the kids at the school. But anyway, my sister Louise used to go up there and play with Bobby. And anyway, she said they had a music room in the house. And I was never in the music room.
What was a music room?
I think they probably had a piano and some other musical instruments up there, whatever. Like I said, I was never in the house. I was never even in the kitchen there. But like I said, now.
The only place I remember Dennis Equipment Rental being was right up there on the east side of West Durham Lumber Company.
East side of West Durham Lumber Company.
Kind of where I think it was either Kate's or Couch's Oil.
Yes.
Where Pettigrew runs into Hillsborough Road. Where Strawbridge Studios, across the street from Strawbridge Studios.
Yes. That's the same place. It's just been.
Is that where his original garage was?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I think it was. I think that was the only place I ever remember him being. And he did some work for me in the later years when I was working in Chapel Hill. I had some work done on equipment and brought it over. Got him to do it. He had.
So you worked with him one way or another until you lost your sight in 1973.
Yes.
And your father started working with him when you were about 10 years old or so.
Yes. I knew him a long time. some of his, now when they were putting that, covering that creek over in the East Gate at Chapel
Uh-huh.
Hill, Mr. Dennis, I think he had two cranes over there. Crane, when I was trying to talk about the big business, that's what
Okay.
I'm trying to say, cranes.
Is that Bowling Creek?
Uh-huh. Oh,
Is
that's
it
it.
Bowling Creek?
And I believe that is what it's called. It crosses, let's see,
At the radio station.
yeah, sending them mow that, still mow
Okay.
that place over there. I think they have built a walk in there or something or other. Maybe it's been paved or something over Chapel Hill. I don't know.
So Sam Dennis was doing what on
They were
that?
putting some kind of forms across the creek,
Okay.
and they had to. I think they had to have a crane on both sides. They were so heavy, and they were putting them on pilings or something that had been put in there. Because I know sometimes the cranes get so, it was so heavy they was having to reach out so damn far that they'd have to ease it back down and get more whatever under the outriggers on the cranes. They did some pretty rough work for that time of that kind of equipment. And I know he was working. My brother-in-law, the one I thought so much of, they were pulling in big wires somewhere. When I broke my leg, when it dropped that damn pole on me and broke my arm and leg, and they wouldn't let me work at the power company. Hell, I was ready to go back to work. 3 days, you know. I had a walking cast on there, but they said it would look bad to have a man with two broken limbs, you know. I was working with a truck. But anyway, he was somewhere. Ray was putting, where in the hell was that? They were putting heavy, building a transmission line, a big wire, bigger damn wire, aluminum wire. And anyway, Ray came up here and spent the night with us.
This your brother from Charlotte, brother-in-law.
And he took me with him, and we went down there and looked at this job, and I knew some of the fellows on the job and all that sort of thing. But anyway, Mr. Dennis had a crane made out of a GI truck, and both the front and rear wheels had dual wheels, and they would take, it was cutting the right of way. In several places he had to cross some big holes or ditches or creeks or something like that. And they trim those poles, lay them across the creek at the right angle, right distance apart, and he, whoever he had operating his four-wheel drive vehicle would drive across them poles, get across. They didn't have to build no damn bridge or cut down a road or nothing. He had to. He came along when you couldn't buy all this shit to do whatever with it without a blue $1 million, and he fixed it where he could, you know, he could furnish equipment. I know they had some transmission lines coming across the town. They came across from back over about Duke somewhere, crossed and it went down Green Street. Yeah, something. Well, anyway, they were on towers, and when they were taking it down, Mr. Dennis had a boom on some kind of a big piece of equipment where he could, I don't believe I ever really saw exactly what the man was in some kind of seat, but he would pull him up there. They'd kill, of course, he'd kill the line, of course, but pull him up there, and he would take the wire loose and put it on the cable that was holding him up there, and he'd let down the man and the wire. That's the way he was taking it down. And then they'd come back and take the, I don't know if he took the towers down. I didn't see him taking any of the towers down, but I imagine if he had the equipment to handle it, they probably would take them loose at the ground and lay them down. Be easier than trying to take them down pieces at a time like they would put up.
Okay.
Of course, now a lot of times when you're putting towers up where they can get to it with equipment, they'll put them together on the ground, and they got equipment now that they can set them up and just set it on their base, whatever, bolted on the base.
Well, Buster, it's getting late, and you've got your workout program tomorrow morning. But just in a couple of sentences, then, what did you think of Sam Dennis?
What did I think of him? He was first class man at what he's doing. He was ahead of his time, I think. I thought the world of him. He was always honest and fair with me, I thought. I think he probably give me more money than I paid him. In the fact that he didn't charge me, maybe, I don't know. But I always trusted him, and anything he did or said, I trusted him completely.
Well, Buster, I'll end with that. All right. Thank you, sir.